Hi, everyone. Thank you for watching this new edition of Studio C70. We're very honored to be joined by Eugene DePasquale, a Democratic candidate for Attorney General here in Pennsylvania. And we're joined today by students at Friends Select School in Philadelphia. I'm Sam from Committee of 70, and I will be going away now and turning it over to students at Friends Select.
Hi there. Thank you so much for being here and talking with us. My name is Steve, and we got a question from one of our students, Jules.
Hi, Jules.
Hi. So, do you think cannabis should be legalized in PA? And would you agree that restorative justice policy would need to be in place to expunge past possession convictions?
Yeah, Jules, first of all, thank you for the question. I appreciate you having an interest in this. Actually, in the year 2017, as the Auditor General of Pennsylvania, I came out with a position in that said we should regulate and tax marijuana and legalize cannabis. So the answer to that is yes. And certainly I believe that we should. Now, this is not the decision only for the Attorney General, but as a matter of state policy, I think we should certainly wipe the slate clean with anyone that has a conviction related to cannabis. We all know that, first of all, I want to be clear because it's important to say this. I am not recommending using it, just like I don't recommend cigarettes. And I think, even alcohol should be, I'm not trying to say I've never consumed alcohol, but we should all be responsible about how we consume any of these products. But we all know that even when it comes to cigarettes, they are more addicting than marijuana. But how these laws have been enforced in the past has been discriminatory and unfair and not just. That is why I take the position that we should be wiping the slates clean on all marijuana convictions.
That was a very thorough answer, and I really do appreciate your position on that. We've got some more students here. If you don't mind introducing yourself when you have a question. I have.
By the way, just so you know, my name is Eugene DePasquale, and I'm a Democratic candidate for Attorney General.
Do you understand what the Attorney General does? You want to explain that?
The Pennsylvania Attorney General is the chief legal officer of the state of Pennsylvania and charged with enforcing all laws of the state, whether they be criminal, civil, environmental, or consumer. And so that is what the Attorney General does. And looking forward to talking with you about it, both my personal background and my legal background. And I see somebody else joined us.
Okay, you want to go? You got a question? Just the one about legalization of cannabis.
And just for those that were, in 2017, I actually came out for the legalization of cannabis. I also want to be clear about this. I think any of these should be, whether it be alcohol, cigarettes, which I'm more opposed to than anything, and certainly cannabis. Responsible adult use is important, but I believe it should be legal, and I believe we should wipe the slate clean of anyone that has had any prior conviction on cannabis. A, we all know that it has been enforced unfairly, and B, the idea that cannabis is illegal while cigarettes are legal, to me, makes no sense.
Oh, I'm Lena, and I'm a junior. So, in your opinion, what's the most critical issue that's going to be on the ballot this November?
So, to me, the most important issue that's going to be on the ballot, it's really 1 and 1A. 1A is democracy itself. There is going to be one side that'll be promoting democracy. The other side will be promoting what they will call democracy, but it will look like authoritarianism. And so I think democracy is on the ballot. I believe you as the voter should decide who wins the election, not the lawyers in Harrisburg or Washington, D.C., and certainly not someone that, tends to whine about everything that happens bad to that individual, namely the former president. And the second one is, I believe, reproductive freedom. I believe that will also be on the ballot this fall as well.
Thank you.
I don't want to ask a question that's already been asked.
There's only been two that's been asked, one about, what the most important issues going to be on the ballot, and then the cannabis question, so they're all pretty up for grabs. Yeah.
Well, here I'm Constantine, I'm a freshman, and at student government, we've been, along with Steve here, we've been just pushing for voter registration and things like that. And how can we just engage more voters, particularly young voters, to get out and vote during primaries?
Look, my daughter is a junior at Temple. So I am now that's a little bit older than you, but I know the issues that really drive her, which are probably not significantly different. I think abortion rights, to be blunt, climate change are two issues that she talks about all the time, and they matter to me too. I mean, but those are two issues that really matter to her. I think the best way to engage with voters, whether they be younger or older or anywhere in between, is to meet them where they are. If somebody is running or is considering voting, but they really don't know any of the candidates, my advice would be don't be judgmental on that. Not everyone is overly political. Not everyone is into this as much as you are. And certainly for myself, running for state attorney general. So I think go into that with some compassion, with the idea that people may not be aware of it, but the best way to get them to want to vote is to explain what issues are at stake this fall and where the candidates stand without just lumping, oh, all politicians are bad or all politicians are great or all Democrats are good or all Democrats are bad or vice versa. I think here are the issues at stake. Here's where the candidates stand. You get to make the choice who runs the country. That's how I would do it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Kate. I'm a junior. My
Okay.
question, what do you think separates you from the rest of the Democratic candidates?
So for starters, I'm the only one that's won statewide twice before, run statewide twice. I've won twice, including once when Trump was on the ballot. I'm the only one that's held statewide office. I have a record of protecting Pennsylvanians in every single county. I also think my personal story, look, I'm seeking to become the first child of a convicted felon elected attorney general in Pennsylvania history. My dad got wounded in Vietnam, was eventually prescribed synthetic heroin, eventually became addicted to painkillers, and that led to him dealing in incarceration, 10.5-year federal prison sentence. That is rather unique for people running for attorney general. In fact, only once in the history of our country has someone been the child of a convicted felon and elected state attorney. So that is certainly unique. I know what it's like to struggle. My brother Anthony had muscular dystrophy. So when he was a sophomore at the University of Pittsburgh, he passed away from complications with it. I was putting myself through night law school, and we had to take out loans to pay for the funeral. My dad came to the funeral in shackles because he was incarcerated. So I know what it's like to struggle without health insurance, without any money, to have to put myself through night law school. Again, this may or may not matter. I'm the only one that played a sport in college. Now, that in and of itself doesn't matter. I played baseball and football in college, but I had to do that while working as a janitor. And so that, I was working with union janitors from 7 to 10 a.m., then going to class, then going to football practice every single day. And that's something that, again, has given me, a broader experience than most people that go to college. And I'm now the only union member. I'm a member of the United Steelworkers. Proud of that. And that also is something that we all have our share of union support, but I'm the only union member. So I think all of those distinguish me. The statewide experience, the winning statewide twice, knowing what it's like to economically struggle, being the child of a convicted felon, and having to work as a janitor while playing two sports in college and working myself through college are all. And I'm the only one that went to night law school as well. So each of those are unique characteristics to me.
Thank you so much. Hi, I'm Leah. I'm a freshman. I was wondering if you have any specific projects from Philadelphia that you're really passionate about.
Is that person off camera? We want to make sure I
Yeah,
understood.
she's off camera.
Yeah, I would just want to make sure I understand the question. It was, what am I passionate about in Philadelphia?
I think it was what kind of projects that you are looking forward to working with Philadelphia on, whether it's gun violence or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, so I want to start off with whether it be Philadelphia or across the state, we've got to do a better job on gun violence. 2/3 of all firearm deaths in Pennsylvania are the result of suicide. As now my son is 24, my daughter's 20, but I've recently experienced it's not so much with anything with my children, but the how many of their friends have contemplated suicide. When I following the shooting at Stoneman Douglas, I led the school safety task force. I went to every single school district in this state, making sure our schools were better protected. I know how many people are crying out for more mental health help. So, number one, what I want to do, I want to make sure our schools are safer. And that includes more mental health counseling. That's number one. Number two, we've got to do a better job of getting illegal guns off the street and cracking down on the people that bring harm to others through firearms. Philadelphia, in particular, has dilapidated school buildings. So I know how unfair our school funding formula is in Pennsylvania. If the Pennsylvania legislature does not pass a constitutional school funding bill, I will file a lawsuit against it and force them to go back to the drawing board again. And I should also say that, look, I've got a daughter that goes to Temple, lives in Philadelphia, and my mom is from Philadelphia. So I'm going to do my part to fight for Philadelphia every single day.
Hi, I'm Nora. I'm a junior. I was just wondering, in protecting the environment, how would you balance protecting jobs in the energy industry without more pollution?
Yeah, so it's a great question, and it's not easy because on one hand, we require energy to get through the day, but on the other hand, climate change is an imminent threat. So what do? We hold companies accountable to the standards of the permits that they are given. The Department of Environmental Protection does not have the tools to enforce their own permits. So that's going to fall to the Pennsylvania Attorney General. And what we need to do is have fines significant enough so that, and even potentially criminal sentences, so that when these laws are violated, these companies don't just hold it as the cost of doing business to get the fine. So we've got to hold these companies accountable while at the same time understanding that we do have to have a diverse energy background and we shouldn't be trying to put people out of work, but we've got to transition as fast as possible to a zero net carbon energy future. And as Attorney General, I want to be a partner to help us get there.
Can I just add to the whole climate conversation, Eugene, and that is here in Pennsylvania, correct me if I'm wrong, our two biggest industries are tourism and agriculture. And if you're a fisherman, I don't know if you fish, but most of our fish are we can't eat. I mean, there's
Right.
a
You
limit
can't,
of what
can't
we-
because we have more polluted waterways in Pennsylvania than any other state in the country.
Correct. So with that said, you're saying, you know, the energy industry, what about the PA agriculture industry? They're polluting our water.
Yeah.
Our wells. I mean, it's just like trickling down all the way down to Schuylkill to Delaware. It's just crazy.
Yeah. So there's two parts to this. One is, as Auditor General, I investigated all the Marcellus Shale drillers and found how much of our drinking water, particularly well water, was getting polluted. So I forced at that time the corporate administration to hire 70 new inspectors to enforce their own environmental regulations that they weren't doing. Now, water is admittedly trickier because not all Pennsylvania water is generated from Pennsylvania. We've got flows from New York. I mean, the Ohio River is called the Ohio River for a reason. I mean, I don't mean this to be flip. So I've got to do my job to partner with other state attorneys general and the Justice Department to hold these companies accountable that are coming from outside the state. So while it is true, and by the way, I know the fishing situation well. We used to have the most cold water fishery in the nation. The reason why we don't anymore is because our cold water isn't cold anymore. And you know, as a fisherman, that drives a certain type of fish that you're able to catch. Well, you can't do that in some of these areas anymore. So, but that means I've got to partner with other state AGs and the Justice Department, because not all of that is coming from Pennsylvania. So it's only to say it's part of my job is to also develop partnerships with these other state AGs, because anything coming from New York, Ohio, even potentially Canada has an impact in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, we rely on a lot of our fresh water from New York reservoirs.
That's correct.
Anybody else? No? There are a couple of questions that, weren't asked, if you don't mind.
No, fire away.
Uh, there is, I'm pretty sure there's some legislation, sitting around, maybe state government committee, I'm not sure, on open primaries. How do you feel about the open primaries?
I actually introduced a bill when I was a legislator to allow independents, not people that are registered with a third party, particularly like, if you're actually a member of the Green Party or something like that. I don't think, but if you register as a non-affiliated independent, I believe you should be able to declare which primary you want to participate in. So that would allow independents a voice in the primary. Even if we can't get that, we should at least allow for judicial, magistrate, and school board elections where the candidates cross-file. We should at least allow it there, because in a lot of those races, particularly school board, people win both nominations in the primary. Then if you're a third party or non-affiliated, you don't even get to say on who wins that office. So I do believe in reform there.
Yeah, I was an independent for many years, and I had to switch to a party just so I could vote in the
Yeah.
primary.
Yeah, and I believe that should be changed.
Yeah. Any questions that you've come up with other than that? I know you guys gotta get to class, soon. It is a school here, so I got a quiz question for you. But before I ask you that question, do you have any questions for our students? Anything that you would want to say that we have?
Well, beyond people that are involved politically, what are the issues you talk about? What are the issues that need to be on my radar screen that maybe aren't? I mean, look, admittedly, when you're running for office in Pennsylvania, you're talking to people, whether it's right or wrong, and you can probably understand why we do this. You're talking to people more often than not that are regular voters, and in Pennsylvania, that tends to be people that are 55 and older. Just nature of who goes to most of the meetings. So, what are things that you want to put on? Now, not everyone running for statewide office has a 24-year-old son and a 21-year-old daughter, but I do. But what are issues that you want to put on my agenda that I may not be thinking about right now?
A conversation that's been having that I've had a lot in my house is all like the issues with all the fentanyl lacings and the overdoses that have been happening. And that's like a big thing that I've been talking about with my family, and that's something that I think that needs to be changed, because it's very I've been talking about with my family about how it's very unsafe with all the lacings and all the overdoses, and how people who overdose are often like there's like the system that they have to go through is usually pretty harsh, and it just doesn't, like, the system there doesn't really is pretty imperfect. So that's
Beyond holding people dealing that accountable, which I will, I want to work with the medical and the rehabilitation community on driving that policy. I mean, do I have my own set of philosophy on that we've got to help people? And, if anyone's lacing something, hold them accountable. But I also want to be clear, I'm not a medical doctor. I want to hear what the doctors say about how to deal with that. I've lost a cousin to a fentanyl overdose a couple of years ago. So, and there may not be a family in Pennsylvania that isn't impacted this one way or another. So thank you for raising that.
I think also the overpopulation of like youth in the juvie system is something that I talked about a lot.
The
So
overpopulation of what? I apologize.
the juvie system, like the youth in the.
Oh, yeah. To me, we have to make a choice as a society. Do we want to have a Department of Corrections or a Department of Punishment? And what I mean by that is we all make mistakes in life. Some of those may be criminal, some of them maybe not, but we all make mistakes. We are all human. We're all flawed. We all do stupid stuff every day. To me, when it comes to people that make that mistake, we need to make sure we have a system in place so that they can segue back into society. And we should not be putting juveniles in solitary confinement, not having they should not be in with adults. They should be focused on how do we help them live productive lives when they come out. And so that's an area that I will certainly make a priority as Attorney General.
But do you have any like ideas on how to stop kids from coming into the juvie system?
So I mean, my start with we've got to do better at having given kids a equal shot at education to begin with. That's number one. Number two, I think it's important to give everyone hope. I'm not saying it's 100%, but if you're not able to get a good education and you feel you don't have a future, sometimes the alternative to making some of these poor choices then becomes a lot more real. So to me, we've got to do a better job of giving young people hope. We've got to do a better job of giving them a better education. And I think if we do those two, a lot of those issues, not all, but a lot of those issues will go away.
I think most of our students are gonna have to get back to their next class, but just a little background before we let you leave. Our student government, and you can appreciate this as a past state house rep, they're lobbying for a bill that's just languishing in the state government committee. It's called HB 1827, and
Okay.
it's to allow students to pre-register to vote at 16 to 72. So it kind of puts them into the SURE system.
Yeah.
And then as soon as they turn 18, boom.
Yep.
And we're working with Christopher Rep Rab on this because he was the main sponsor of the bill. So that's one of the student government initiatives that Constantine and some of his colleagues his classmates are working on right now to go and lobby these legislators. So I'm not
Sounds
sure.
like a home run to me.
I'm not sure if you ever had a campaign of students calling your office or not, but that's our hope, is to start flooding emails and calls to everybody that's on the majority and minority side of that state committee.
Squeaky wheel gets the grease, no matter where you are.
So last question, and this is your quiz question. Who was the first U.S. Attorney General?
The first U.S. Attorney General. Wow, I do not know that answer.
He was appointed by George Washington.
Yeah, I was gonna say, obviously part of the Washington administration. I don't know the answer to that.
Edmund Jennings Randolph.
Edmund Jennings Randolph, not an Italian guy.
No.
I think that's
Yeah.
Sam, thank you
Right.
so much. Eugene, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciated all your responses.
Thank you so
I know.
much. Thanks for the quiz there
fan-
too.
And a fantastic note to end on. And I just again want to reiterate thank you to Steve and the students, and to Eugene for taking the time to participate. And end this live stream and video with just important reminders. Today is Monday, April 8th, the last day to register to vote in Pennsylvania. The last day to request a mail-in ballot is 8 days from now on the 16th, and election day is the 23rd. And also, please, if you're watching this before April 15th, join Committee of 70 and plenty of partners to hear from the other Eugene and other Attorney General candidates for our forum. That is at 7 p.m. on April 15th. So thank you again for watching, and thank you again for participating, Eugene, and to students for asking such great questions. And look out for our next Studio C70, I believe should be uploaded on Friday. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank
Good
you,
luck in
everyone.
the
Have a good one.
primaries, Eugene.